Welcome to another edition of Helmets Off. I'm the host, Scott Mitchell. Helmets Off is now on, headed off to the NFL, of course, to the Cleveland Browns, which we tend to talk about quite a bit. And why not talk about them again? Of course, the Browns have fired head coach Hue Jackson in the middle of the season. And it kind of got me to thinking, is it really beneficial to fire your head coach right in the middle of the season? I often wonder why owners do this. And I'm not sure if it's a good or a bad thing. I've been with coaches where I had a coach in Bruce Coslet that just quit right in the middle of a season. And it was really hard. It was brutally hard. But what happens to the players is there's this sense of rallying. And I think it becomes apparent when a coach needs to be fired. And it probably was apparent with the Browns in Cleveland. Where you just kind of lose the team. And you lose the team really through the people you hire. And I wonder if Hue Jackson really had people in his corner. And if they weren't some of the people that were stirring up some of this internal strife that can just wreck and tear apart an organization. And really the best thing to do at that point is kind of to let everyone go. I don't know. You watch Hard Knocks on HBO, and we got a little bit of an in-depth look at what was going on with the Cleveland Browns before the season started. And it just seemed like Todd Haley and Greg Williams. Todd Haley was the offensive coordinator. Greg Williams were the defensive coordinators. And they're very volatile guys. They're very opinionated guys. Most coordinators are. There's a sense of they're pretty full of themselves, and their confidence level is pretty high, and it has to be. But it just seemed like to me that wasn't a cohesive situation. And so what happens is the team starts losing, and those coordinators get in their meetings and they start complaining about the head coach, about the decisions they make or they don't make. And maybe Todd Haley was not happy about Baker Mayfield and that he comes in to play. Who knows what happens. All I know is when I've been in organizations where coaches get fired, a lot of times it's really the chemistry between the assistant coaches and the head coach, and it's guys going behind their back. I'm not saying this is the case in Cleveland. I'm just saying it kind of appeared that there was a fractured relationship there with the little sneak peek we got to see in the preseason Hard Knocks with the NFL. But here's the challenging thing as a player. It is the most disruptive, the most awful thing you can go through when a coach gets fired or your team is losing. And there's a lot of teams in the NFL, and you have 2 months left in the season, and there's no chance of making the playoffs. Things get ugly in a hurry, and the players start blaming the coaches, and the coaches start blaming the players, and everyone just starts blaming. And of course, when you have guys that when things get hard and all they want to do is blame other people, that tells you the kind of players you have. It's the ones that say, look, we're in this tough situation, and we're going to battle it out together, and we're going to work through this thing and see it through to the end like pros. That's when you have high character guys, and those are the guys you want to keep around and you want to build with. So much of the success of NFL teams is that cohesive chemistry that really doesn't get talked about, I don't think, even close to enough. And football's hard because there's so many there's so many guys that feel isolated, and they feel like I'm just kind of a hired gun here. But when you can have that team camaraderie and yet that chemistry, it can really hold and bind teams together in those challenging times. But the reality is Hue Jackson just wasn't getting it done. And he made a comment, and this really stuck with me. And I don't know that I fully agree with it. In fact, I don't agree with it at all. And he said, the advice he was given is when you're the head guy, you do it the way you want to do it. And so when coaches made suggestions to him, a lot of times he said, no, he says, I'm in charge here, and this is the way I'm doing it. And here's where I disagree with this just a little bit. I think that being a great leader, you have to have a clear vision of where you're going as a football team. And everyone needs to get on board with that vision without losing their individual personality, talents, and strengths. So it's the great coaches just said, I've got this great guy here. How can I fit his talents and strengths into my vision? And that's when I think you have a really great coach. You look at Bill Belichick, he has a very clear vision of what he wants out of his team. And he molds his coaches and he molds his players to fit into that vision. And it's very clear. And he didn't start out winning, and he struggled from, in some parts of being a head coach. In fact, he was the head coach of the Cleveland Browns before. And so it's understanding how to create this vision is where you really develop a great leader and a great coach. And there's some, and I saw this in Coach Shula when, because he was the all-time winningest coach in the NFL. And I came in, and every player, every quarterback who played for him, he gave him a playbook and said, you call your own plays in practice. And he goes, I can have all the greatest plays in the world, but if you can't run a play on the field, my plays are worthless. I need you to have confidence. I need your abilities, your talents to show through, and I need to give you that trust and belief that you're going to make things happen on the field. I'm not on the field. I can't do it. You've got to go do it. And he was great about allowing you to develop your talents and having that kind of inner communication about what you liked. And he was a tough coach, and he was very demanding, and he was difficult and all those things, but he was great at seeing the strengths of individuals and getting them to work towards one common goal. And I just didn't see this happening in Cleveland. And I'm not to say it couldn't happen or anyone's a bad person, but just sometimes personalities and different coaches, it's just not put together in the right way. And unfortunately, the Cleveland Browns are looking for a new head coach yet again. All right, Helmets Off is now off. You can text Helmets to 65537. Go to those social sites, like us, dial us in on that phone of yours. And until then, we'll catch you soon.